Yirdumarang, Yundu Yanieta, Dinawan Yara Majiji, Wiradjuri Goga. G'day, my name is Tanieta and I'm from Wiradjuri country. And I'm here to talk to you about paragraphs, how to write a paragraph. Writing at university can be very difficult, and what is the hardest often is how to start an assignment. But also, how do we formulate? Is there a formula to assignments? Well, yes, there's a formula to writing assignments that is the main basis and foundation for academia, how we write formally. So today we're talking about how do we formulate that paragraph? So what I'm going to do is do a screen share with you and unpack how to get started on your assignment and how to get a good paragraph written. So I'll do a screen share. And let's have a look at this. So first thing you need to do when you start your assignment is go into your header and write your name and your student number. And then you can double click and it's on every page. Another way to do that is to go insert and header. So what I like to call paragraphs are sandwiches. They're sandwiches because they have a common structure throughout the whole assignment. And in fact, the whole assignment is a big sandwich. So in a big assignment, you've got, whether it's 1,200 or 1,500 words, you've got an introduction, you've got a conclusion, and then you've got paragraphs that are called the body, or what I call them is the filling of the sandwich. So that's the whole document of the 1,500 words. Then when you break that down into the main introduction or the main conclusion, you then break that down so that even in that main introduction, you have a little sandwich. So you have the mini intro, which is a topic sentence about the whole paper. It sets the scene for the whole paper. And then you have in that main introduction, your main supporting points. What are you going to talk about in this assignment? Paragraph 1 should be supporting point 1 in your main introduction. Paragraph 2 should be supporting point 2, etc. And then you sum up that with a conclusion. So that's your sandwich. Your sandwich is your mini introduction, your mini conclusion, and your 3 supporting points, which is the filling of the sandwich. Then you go down to paragraph 1. This will be a mini intro, a little mini conclusion, and your sandwich filling, 3 supporting points. So what we want to see with these supporting points is for you to reference the supporting points. Generally, depending on what school you're in, is whether they want referencing in the introduction. I've found a lot of science schools like referencing in the introduction, whereas a lot of the arts don't. They like the referencing in the body of the assignment. So find out what your lecturer wants, whether they want referencing in the introduction or whether they don't want referencing in the introduction. Either way, the way you prove your point is through referencing. So if we go to paragraph 1, we'll want to see 3 different references. Point 1, point 2, point 3. So say that this paper is about the forest, the environment. You might start the whole paper topic sentence as we need the forest to survive. We need country to be alive. There are many things that make up country, and these will be discussed in this paper. And so supporting point 1 might be how water is used on country or by the environment. Supporting point 2 might be what sort of trees make up country, make up the environment. Supporting point 3 might be how do we keep the trees growing, or something like that. And then you'll sum up those points. There'll be no references needed in the sum up, and you'll be summing them up in the main introduction, but you'll also be summing up each point that you make in each paragraph. So if I said my first supporting point was about how the forest works with us as humans, then that would be my topic sentence for my first paragraph. Because what you want to see is this being paragraph 1, this being paragraph 2, and this supporting point being paragraph 3. So you're setting the scene in your main introduction. You're telling us what you're going to write about in your whole essay. And then we want to see that follow in the essay. So in the first paragraph, we'll be pulling that first point out, maybe about how the trees work with humans. And the next one, how water affects the trees. And then maybe point 3 might be how do we keep the forest growing? And then what you would do is you would take the first supporting point from your main introduction, and it should make up your topic sentence. How do trees work? And then you'd be filling in your body. So you'd be like, they need soil, they can communicate between each other. And you could say something like, they create carbon for humans. So then you need to sum this up here. Something about soil, something about communication, and something about carbon. None of this needs to be referenced. This is just summing up what you've referenced here. Jones, Kelly, etc., etc. So this is how you're proving your point, is through using the references. Paragraph 2, we'll be looking at your second supporting point, how water affects trees. So that would be the main supporting point for paragraph 2. Topic sentence, blah, 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 taken straight out of that second main point you made in your main intro. Same with the third point. We want to put it into the third topic sentence. There we go. And then we make 3 referenced points about each of these points that we said we're going to talk about in great detail in our introduction. And then we have our main conclusion. So our main conclusion, the actual conclusion, it also has a mini intro, a topic sentence, but you want to be more on the front foot. You want to say, this is how trees grow. This is what they need. This is how they communicate. And then you drive your points home, but without references, because you've already used the references in the body, in the filling of the whole assignment sandwich. So basically, in the conclusion, you're just saying, yes, this is how this is. This is what happens. This is how they grow. This is what they need to grow. This is how they talk to each other. And then when you're summing up in the actual conclusion, you want to write something punchy, something that drives the point home. Maybe use global examples or how it'll affect everybody as a society. Think big for the final concluding sentence of the whole 1,500 word assignment. You want to drive the point home. You've proved it with all your references. Now you want to convince people with the conclusion. So the conclusion really is just made up by paragraph one's sum up. Paragraph one's sum up will go in here. Paragraph 2 sum up will go in here. Paragraph 3 sum up will go in here. Writing the conclusion, I think, is the easiest part of the assignment. I'll be honest with you. I think really you're just reiterating what you've said all throughout. And the way to do it is to keep with this structure, and that will make it easier for you because you're just summing up what you've already summed up. I will show you this other person, Tynan. So Tynan is an Indigenous author who's written this abstract, and I'll pull this abstract apart using the same formula. You can have a little look at this. This is a journal article. So if I was referencing this, everything here I would be using. The DOI, the volume number, what year, what the name of the journal is, which is Cultural Geographies, and I'll be using this here and this here. But that's on referencing. This is on how do we write a paragraph. So this is what I've pulled it from. I'll just get that other piece of paper up. I'll send that away, Here we go, our document. Okay, so with her abstract, her topic sentence is this. This paper delves into the concept of relationality and pairs academic literature with stories and lessons from country. So that's her first sentence for her big paper that she's written, which is way more than 1,200 words. So that's setting the scene, and it's broad enough. You're like, oh, what's she talking about? Relationality. How has this got to do with literature and stories from country? So there's so many things this could be. It's a broad enough topic sentence to be able to put lots of stuff underneath it. We could go into relationality. We could go with how it pairs with academia. We could talk about stories. We could talk about lessons from country. There's quite a few things in that 2 lines that could branch out into so much more. Then she moves to the sandwich, her filling of her introduction or her abstract. And she's got in there bringing together majority of Indigenous scholarship on the paper describes 3 main ideas, blah, blah, blah. So that's her point 1. Her point 2 is this and this. Relationality as a living practice and relationality as responsibilities with kin. Now, if you look through her paper, she targets each of these things and expands on them really big in her paper. And then her third point is many examples are provided to explain relationality in practical and concrete ways as a Trowellaway woman. Now, so she's saying she's an Aboriginal woman. I weave stories and lessons from country throughout the paper with a particular focus on research. So she's telling us this is about research. I consider an inverse of relationality, extractivism, and identify how many dominant research practices are deeply extractive. She's being very specific about what she's going to talk about. And we'd expect, moving down her paper, to first read about this, how together the majority of Indigenous scholarship on relationality, bringing together people who are Indigenous and their idea in academia on relationality. The paper describes 3 main ideas. So she's telling us what's going to be in the whole paper. And if I was to go down to her first paragraph, I expect to see her first point there expanded into its own paragraph sandwich about her first point. And then this is how she's summed up in that abstract, in that first introductory paragraph. This paper concludes with prompts for the reader on how research can be a more relational process. And overall, the paper demonstrates a relational ethos in and out of practice. So she summed it up, and that's her introductory paragraph. So when she gets to her conclusion, I expect to see the sum up of this, the sum up of this, and the sum up of this in her conclusion. No new points, just her summed up points at the end of each of her paragraph should be in that conclusion. And conclusions should be short and punchy. They're usually shorter than introductions. Introductions are explaining what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. Whereas the conclusion is just saying, this happened, I proved this, and this is how it affects society on a broader level. That sort of stuff. So basically, that is your paragraph sandwich. I'll stop the share. And keeping a structure like that helps you stay on task. It helps you speak academically. It helps you to start your whole process, because you can set your whole assignment out like that. You can go, okay, here's my introduction, here's my body, here's my conclusion. I've got a 1,200 word assignment. All right, I'm going to spend 150 on the intro, 100 on the conclusion. That's 250. That means I've got 950 left. Okay, I might go 250, 250, 250, which is 750 and 200. So 4 paragraphs, then the conclusion. So then you can start setting out your assignment, working out how many words you need to use for each paragraph, whether you want to make your paragraphs really big and just do 300 word paragraphs and then your conclusion and intro, or whether you want to make 4 paragraphs and make 4 points. You can start setting out your intro as a sandwich, little mini intro, supporting points which relate to each paragraph, and a mini conclusion. And then you can take those 3 points out of your intro and set them up as paragraphs of their own, being their own topic sentence. Each of those supporting points becomes a main point of a paragraph. This is why this structure helps you to write, because once you put the structure there, it's so much easier. Okay, I've just got to find stuff on water freezing, or why forests communicate, or blah, 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 whatever my points are. Yeah, structure really does help with the writing process. And whenever I'm writing an assignment, that's the first thing I do, is set it out for how many words and my main supporting points in my intro, and then set it out for the rest of the document. Anyway, I hope that's been helpful today. I'll be setting up a few more videos, some more on referencing. I'm probably going to do one on mind map, because that seems to really, people struggle with the mind map, maybe the mind map and the table. So happy studying, people.